place to be. Analyze the players and the team. Keep a great company in the stream.
It's a Murali End. Welcome to the show. We're here when you're high. We're here when you're low. Some days you're happy, some days you wanna when happy. It's we when man, it's them. It's the same place, Murali End. Sri Lanka cricket, we gon' represent. Go tell a friend.
Welcome to Murali End. Sorry for the delay. Sorry for the tech problems. Sadly, Dominic is a professor of cricketology. Nick is Sri Lanka's #1 cricket historian. But me, the person in charge of the tech, is Sri Lanka's #1 imbecile. And sadly, I messed it up. Apologies for that. It somewhat fits in the day that Sri Lanka cricket have had, because it's not been a good day at the office today. We got an absolute shellacking today. I started off feeling quite excited about what this team might bring. A kind of slightly new batting lineup, 5 bowlers. It looked like maybe there was some decent balance and some good intent, but it was not to be. If you haven't hit the subscribe button, if you haven't hit the follow, please do. Leave us your thoughts on the side. If you want to come on, we'll get some time for you guys to chat to us as well. Nick, I'll come to you first because I feel I haven't talked to you about Sri Lankan cricket in a little while. How are you feeling about that performance today?
That was just dreadful, wasn't it, man? The worst performance I can remember from this group. And I think the worst thing about it was I went from feeling really excited that Sri Lanka were playing a 6-5 at the start of the game, thinking how beautifully Eshan Malinga bowled and being incredibly surprised that this was his T20 debut for Sri Lanka. And then those 2 wickets fell in the first 2 overs. And I suddenly thought this is going to be used as evidence for why this team shouldn't play 6-5. By the end of the 20 overs, I was on Sanath's side. I was like, this team can't play 6-5, not because they don't have the talent to, but seemingly because the batters just aren't confident enough. Like, I know there's this stat that if you lose 3 wickets in the power play, you generally lose, as you touched upon, Marky. But like, I feel that if you look at the way India play, they've moved on from that. If you look at the way teams in the IPL play, they've moved on from that. And Sri Lanka, I think until Dasan came in and hit a boundary, they'd hit 2 boundaries in the first 9.3 overs, which one of which was an edge. Like, I don't think a team has ever won a T20 match where they've struck 2 boundaries in 9 and a bit overs. Like, it just ground to a halt. There was no intent, and it's just incredibly like worrying to see Sri Lanka look so shorn of confidence against a team who they should beat 9 times out of 10, who were also missing their best bowler. It was amateurish, it was uninspiring, and like, this team seems to be going backwards, and to the point now that I'm starting to feel really sort of trepidant about the World Cup.
I think much like the bit in Avengers when Captain Marvel appears, if I do this and then do this, is that added SD to the stage? No, I think I need to do. No, that's not the right. Let's see, I'm having to tell. There you go. If I do that, and look, we're all in the right places as well. Estelle, thanks for joining us. I'll come to you in a minute, Estelle. But Dom, what's your thoughts on that performance today?
I don't even have words to describe how bad it was. This is the second time we've been bowled out for under 100 by Zimbabwe in the last 4 months, which is just absolutely unacceptable. The people they brought in, right? You bring in people on the back. You should bring in players on the back of good form, but we have to talk about Banaka's innings. That was one of the worst innings I've seen, like, ever. And he just, every time he made contact with the ball, he wanted to run. And even Ramiz Raja, in all of his, commentary excellence, was like, I feel like a run out is coming. And guess what? Like 2 balls later, there was a run out. And the run out was the most ridiculous run out. He hit it straight to the fielder and then ran and sold Kusal basically our last chance to hold this game together down the river. And he almost did it with Dawson the next over. I don't know where his head was at. I don't know how and on what basis he's walking into this team. And you look at the side and you're like, there's another left-handed middle order batter who can play in the side, and maybe he's not been in the best form, but he's certainly better than that. And it's a shame. At this point, we're gonna not just say it's a shame, it's a sham. What Sanath has done to a promising T20 side is criminal and very upsetting. You see all the talent out there, you see what they can put together, and this is what they produce because they've been playing on rubbish pitches at home, because they've been taught to play conservatively. We all talk about the Sri Lankan brand of cricket being exciting, being full of passion, being full of flair. Where was any of that today? There was none of it. This was a team that was playing scared, with players playing for their positions, right? These are players who are coming into the squad scared that if they make a mistake or they don't score runs, they're going to get dropped instantaneously. And it was just a poor show. I mean, there's not enough bad words that one could say to describe this performance.
Estelle Vasudevan, Sri Lanka's #1 journalist. Welcome to Sri Lankan Cricket Therapy, powered by KidRated.com. This is the Murali End. How are you feeling after the performance that our so-called team put in today?
Yeah, first of all, I think when Sri Lanka restricted Zimbabwe to 160, it felt like they'd done well to get them down to 160, because it looked like they would run away with it a bit when Raja was at the crease, wasn't it? So it felt like they'd done well, and then you lose 2 wickets early on. You think, okay, no, I mean, 160 is still a total that you can chase on these tracks, and you've got kind of the power hitters in the middle for Sri Lanka. Should still be, a game that Sri Lanka can win. But then it just kept getting worse and worse and worse. And like, as Dom said, fortunately, I was spared the commentary. I watched the match on mute. But but I mean, that's the only kind of saving grace from Sri Lanka's batting performance, isn't it? Because it was so bad. Like, I mean, as you said, the running between the wickets for Bhanuka, I wonder if it's almost an unconscious thing where he wants to prove that he's fit by rotating strike and things like that. But it just went from bad to worse. Every batter who came out there, Dasun, he tried, but at the end of the day, it just wasn't happening for Sri Lanka. And no disrespect to Zimbabwe, but Sri Lanka is a side that should become, like, if you look at the team on paper, it is a team that should be competing with like the top four teams in the world, right? Like, in terms of quality, they're certainly up there. I mean, if you look at that bowling attack, you've got 5 guys who can, really take wickets and really put like wicket-taking options, right? All 5 of them. So to see that kind of team brought to its knees in this game like that, it's really disappointing. And I think it's also, you have to wonder what the kind of discussions are within the camp as well on how they want to go about things. To be honest, I mean, I haven't been on the pod for this series so far, so I haven't really got to say much on the whole, staying in Pakistan situation. But I wonder how much of this, has to do with the fact that Asalanka's kind of gone.
Yeah.
He was the captain, and he would have been leading the team if not for his illness. So I wonder how much, how much that affects kind of the team morale and, how things are going. Because Dom was talking about, it looks like a team that's afraid that if they fail today, that they won't be in the team tomorrow, right? And if some of the rumors we're hearing about Asalanka's illness is true, then it's right for them to be afraid about, what might happen and be kind of insecure about their places, right?
Yeah, I mean, we touched upon this in, I think it was the first, it must have been the second ODI, because the first one, the issue started in between the first and second. I was like, if you are going to infantilize them and not let them make decisions like they do, or let them embrace the emotion of not feeling safe, then you risk the risk is they become the infants that that you treat them like, right? If you treat someone like a 12-year-old, that's what they become like. If that's how you set the boundaries for how the teams run, that's what they become like. And that's kind of what was reflected in the way they played cricket today. You can look at the actual cricket itself. You look at that run out and it's comical. I mean, it's the kind of run out that sadly we've got all feels all too very Sri Lankan in nature. It's like, what have Sri Lanka brought to cricket? And you're like, incredible innovations with spin bowling, pinch hitting from the beginning of a game, slinging and comical runouts. It's like our fault. It's the Mount Rushmore Sri Lankan cricket innovation, as it were, right? And then you look at like that first that power play. As the power play ended, I think I was on a slight delay to everyone else because I was watching on PCBlive.com or whatever their kind of the Pakistan cricket Netflix that I've had to subscribe to for the month. And at the end of the power play, I was like, well, it's kind of a weird power play. It kind of there's enough time and the run rate isn't that high that you couldn't get back from it for being 2 down after 6 overs and only scoring 22 runs. And I literally said, this is kind of mature from Sri Lanka. Oh boy, what a joke! What a joke! What a joke! Because the very next ball, because there's this whole theory that everyone keeps talking about, where if you lose 3 wickets in the power play, you'll lose the game, right? So when they lost 2, they kind of were like, we're not going to drop anchor, we're not going to lose a third, and all that did was just get them to 6.1 balls. And then they lost the third.
And they were like, fine, it's okay. We can lose the third now.
We can lose the third now. And then Barnica literally loses it the worst way possible. And then he gets out, 2 or 3 balls later? And you're just like, oh, dude. Like, we've waited so long for you to make a return. You've waited so long to make the return. You tell us how hard you've worked. And then you go and throw away the opportunity like this. When, literally, the most incredible array of events has had to happen for you to get back into the squad, and then to even get a place in the squad, you've had to expect the captains had to be sent home. Like, unbelievable scenes. I'm just kind of angry about the whole thing because this, this is the road to the World Cup. We are months away, weeks away. I think there's 79 days or something like that now till the World Cup begins. This should be a key part of our preparation, and we are throwing it away by tearing the team up. Nick, can you delve back into Sri Lankan history and tell me it's all going to be fine? And this is exactly what the road to 96 looked like.
No, but I can tell you there were disasters on the eve of 96 and on the eve of 2014. I think the night before the 2014 World Cup, the board weren't going to send a team because they were bickering about paying them properly, which has been going on forever, by the way. Sanath was involved with this shit when he was a player with SLC, where they didn't want to share tournament revenues before the 2003 World Cup. So, like, it is frustrating to see him now in a position of power, seemingly not supporting the players. Like, the look on his face after they lost looked like he was about to dish out a real uncle scolding. And you've got to think, like, sorry, uncle, this is your fault as much as anyone else's, or more than anyone else's. On the Barnica thing, I just got to throw in my 2 cents, which I said to Dom before we came on. But it reminded me of how I play cricket after, like, having not played cricket for 9 months, where I get so excited about getting bat on ball that I'm just like, I'm going to run. I don't care where it's gone. And like, it's that level of amateurism can't be coming into a national side. But Barnica hasn't played cricket for like 6 months. So maybe he was just excited to get bat on ball. The one good thing about today, aside from that kid, the ball boy, who was like insane at catching, get him in the Sri Lankan passport, was I thought how good Eshan Malinga was. And that's going to get lost amidst this performance. But it's the best I've seen him bowl. He's got good pace, that natural tail in. He was getting reverse at the back end. He's got good bounce, a good slower ball. It's the whole package, and I'd like to see more of him. It's just a shame that we will probably be going back to 7 batters. Maybe we should play 8 or 9 batters on this showing, because like that was just absolutely.
It doesn't even matter though, because the same thing is going to happen. Even
yeah, I mean, but yeah, it was dreadful, and we're focusing on Barnica, but there were bad shots throughout, right? I think you've got to be starting to worry about Kamindu's white ball form. I mean, I know that he's had a real lack of security, a lack of role clarity, but like keeps kind of not delivering, right? And you feel, when's it going to come? I don't know what to say.
So on the
Oh, go on,
Kamindu
Tom.
thing, I wanted to bring up, like, Bonica comes in at 4. I
That's
think
crazy, right?
that's wild. Like, there's no excuse. Previously, with Pawan Ratnayaka, we talked about why does he come in at 7, and Sanath gave an answer about right hand left hand combination. But in this case, it truly didn't matter. Kamindu Mendes, we know, is one of the best players of pace in this side, right? You've got 2 guys kind of extracting bounce from that hard length. He's the guy who obviously should come in and deal with this. Like, Bonica has never been the kind of guy who can deal with the moving. Like, you aren't like, okay, the ball's jagging around, they're getting good bounce. Bonica's the guy to get it, right? And Nick, you've talked about how good he is against, like, sort of that length in particular.
And wasn't his best, like, run in this team when he was batting at 3, right? And they were using him as like a power play enforcer. And then that, I don't know what, Sunrisers picked him at 6 because they've got other top order players, and Sri Lanka seemed to think like, oh, we'd better just do the same.
Because clearly our batting lineup looks like the Sunrisers batting lineup,
Esther, you so I feel like basically the last 4-5 months since we got the road to the World Cup, I feel kind of every series we have the same types of performances, right? We're so headed towards miss out in the final, but the game before the final, the dead rubber where we're out of it, we're going to absolutely smoke whoever our last fixtures against the Commonwealth Pakistan.
Score 400.
Yeah, like score 400. Pattern, like
KJP will score 100.
Yeah, KJP will score 100. I think it's like the same pattern every time, right? I can absolutely guarantee. I don't even know what the format of this next World Cup in 2026 is, because obviously no one's done the draw. There's no schedule or anything like that. All I can tell you is India will be playing Pakistan in Colombo. But I can guarantee we're going to be in a position where we're going to have another dead rubber game. We're going to smash it to bits. I'm going to come on happy as Larry because I'm an imbecile. So I'll just be like, well, that's it. Clearly, 2028 is our year, lads. Right? Like, Esty, tell me, like, how are we going to break this cycle? What are we going to do? Like, what's got to change? What changes? It's too late to change the coach. And now, I was going to say, it's too late to change the captain, but I think that's about to happen if the internet's to be believed.
Yeah, and you know what's funny, actually, just not to answer your question, but to go off on a tangent, it's like, did you guys notice that everywhere you looked, it was like they were announced, like on social media, they were announcing Dasun as the new captain.
Yeah,
it was not stand-in captain anywhere. I didn't see stand-in captain anywhere. I saw Dasun Chanaka captain for Pakistan Tri-Series. So that in itself like suggests that there is some kind of instability, and we discussed this before the tour as well, right? Why are they suddenly naming a vice captain, and why is it Dasun Chanaka, right? When they haven't named the vice captain in the ODI side, right? So it all looks like there was always kind of a little bit of a plan to see how things go and maybe give him that leadership position. But to come back to what the question was, like, how do we change? It's going to be really tough because, as you said, there's no time remaining, and it's not like Sri Lanka have that many fixtures, right, leading up to the World Cup as well. So whatever changes that need to happen will have to happen kind of off the pitch, where maybe strategies need to be looked at. One thing that's good, I think, that we can all agree on is the combination for this game. 6-5 is what, like, we always talk about, right? You need to have that fifth bowler if you want to put good teams under pressure, and I think that worked today. Whether they go back to 7-4, we'll have to see, given the batter's performance here. But like, really, that's the one thing Sri Lanka have going for them, is that even beyond these 5 bowlers, they do have wicket-taking options, right? They've got good bowlers on the bench as well. So play to your strengths. I think that's one thing they have to look at. Like, your strength is your bowling. So don't go to a position where you've got 4 bowlers basically carrying all the weight and having like Dasun and Kamindu Mendes kind of filling that 5th bowler position, because they're not that type of part-timers, right? If at all, Kamindu should be bowling like 1 over. Dasun, I would give him maximum of 2, right?
Mm-hmm.
Unless like the ball's moving around and it's really good conditions for medium pacers. So whatever changes need to happen, I don't think they can make any drastic changes in terms of coaching and stuff. But whatever strategic changes that need to happen will have to happen off the field, because they don't really have that many fixtures going forward. It's going to be tough. I mean, this is, like Mark said, like it's the cycle, right? We come into this lead up to the World Cup, and you get like glimpses of, oh, they're going to be good, they're going to be that, they're going to be this, and then you see performances like this, and it's a kind of a reality check. I would say though, in kind of a positive light, you guys remember the last time we went into a T20 World Cup and how hopeful we were that Sri Lanka is going to, semi-final spot is, almost in the bag. They've got the team for it, and then New York happened, and reality check, right? This time maybe we won't be going in with that high of hopes.
Yep. Yeah. I think that's 2 really interesting points that Estelle makes here. Is one, we should, and I was very happy to see the 6-5 combination to put our weight behind the bowlers, because they're the guys who can win you this tournament, right? These tournaments. And I think the more you allow them to bowl together and bowl in partnership, the better it's going to be. It was really refreshing to see every over be like, oh, there's a chance to take a wicket here. The batter's having to do something. They're being put under pressure. And someone like Eshan Malinga, you saw how destructive he could be when that was the case, right? We saw him in the ODIs and we're like, oh, what's the deal here? But this is his format. This is where that full length, the ball tailing in, all that stuff works. So he looks really, really good. I think obviously they have to play a little bit with where they're going to bowl all of these guys, but I thought overall the plan was pretty good. And then what you have to do is, 160 is not a big score in 2025, right? 6 batters should be able to chase that down, put together a few partnerships and bring it together. So that's another part of it. I also think, to build on Estelle's point about expectations, hey, is this the inflection point where they have their bad match to start and then they build off of that, right? Because actually we've seen a few series where they haven't played poorly at the beginning, like the Asia Cup. They played pretty well at the beginning and then they tailed off at the end. Maybe the truth of the matter is they can't put in 6 good games. They can only do like 4. So the key is to throw their games early and then build into some sort of quality.
Guys, should we open up the studio for people to come in? I'll put the link in the description while you guys are debating whether or not you want to come and have a chat with us. Let's go through some of the comments. Sanuda's thrown a bit of shade. Too many tech problems lately. As I said, Sanuda, not only am I an imbecile, but sadly, I'm about to be 40 in a few weeks. I'm fully in my uncle phase now, which means like tech is slowly becoming more and more difficult for me to manipulate through. I don't even know why. That's the real issue here. Chamindra said, I had a shit day at work and the cricket doubled it. What a day. Total disappointment. I know exactly what you mean. You know what the worst thing is? In the time zone I'm at, it's like it started at 1 p.m. today, right? So you're just getting into it. You're like, right, this is my cool work time. And then this shit show happens and it just ruins everything.
Mark, I'll raise you that it starts at 8 o'clock in the morning here. And so like you're not only is your day ruined by the fact that you're following this so closely, and then you feel like crap afterwards, and you have to think, you're thinking, okay, maybe this is going to lift my day today. But I was sitting there for the second half of the batting innings, just like stewing. What am I realistically going to get done?
Shabna, I won't come to your comments because you're about to come on. Mega Mangala, we keep changing and adding players, so our communication coordination falls apart. Bardaka and Pereira weren't fit. We're still stuck in old-style cricket while the rest of the world has moved on. I mean, I don't know, Nick. You watch a lot of T20 cricket. Are we still playing an old-style cricket? Do you think Bardaka and Chris Pereira aren't fit?
I do think that we're still playing an old style of cricket. I think you saw it today in the power play, right? You've lost 2 wickets, but you have to have confidence as a top order batter that you can find a boundary when there are only 2 men back. Like, you're not playing prime Glenn McGrath and Malinga. Like that's a reasonable expectation. And fitness wise, I think if the talent's there in T20 cricket, I'm happy to allocate a bit of Chubb. Like, you know, there are other guys. The issue is that they're not as good in the field, right? But if you're going by that, then you've got to start digging out Tushara and Theeks. And so like a little bit cuddly for me in T20 cricket isn't an issue.
A little bit cuddly. I love that.
Mashid said, I've seen you players combined age of 104. Let that sink in. Show Salmon's lack of confidence in up and coming young players. I think that depends. How many seniors are you putting in there? Is that 3?
Yeah, so
I mean, I'm 40 years old. 104 doesn't feel that far away.
Look, so this is what I was thinking about is Nuanindu Fernando got 2 matches, right?
Yeah.
They were like, oh, he's the solution at 4. They just dropped him into the side. He got 2 matches, and then he's dropped like a hot potato. He's playing well in this Emerging Stars Asia Cup. He's hit a good number of 6s. He's looked really good. But instead of saying, hey, let's give you another shot, they turned back to Bonica as the solution for the number 4. So to me, right, that's the kind of thinking you have. And so let's also imagine, right? So KJP was struggling in the Asia Cup prior to that innings against India. Didn't really put up much. Now, if he had failed against India, I wonder if you have someone like Vishen Halambage coming at 3, and you have a different style and a different brand of cricket going on if you have those 2 guys there. So to my mind, we've had these young guys in and around the squad, but we're not really giving them the proper opportunity to flourish and grow as cricketers. And it's I think this is Sanuda's point where he says chemistry is important in cricket, not just in football. Pottis is an example. They know each other very well. This is what happens when you change players always, right? Bonica just looked like he had no relationship with any of the guys who were in the team. Like they hadn't played with him, they hadn't run with him. So to me, the age of the squad is, if these guys are 35 and failing, I don't see why we need to keep on giving them chances when we have younger players who, at least if they fail, they might learn something from it and they might become different players thereafter.
Let's get some
I think
callers.
when it comes to Vishen, my only concern is like he's very young, right? And you're going into a World Cup. Do you want to put that kind of pressure on him? That's my only question with him. I mean, obviously, having seen him in domestic cricket and now in this kind of emerging tournament, he's got the goods, right? He's got the kind of style of play which you want in a T20 batter. Kamil Mishara is another one, right? But do you want to push him into that situation right now is the question with the World Cup coming in. But I think Nuanindu's point is a great one, right? Because like you said, instead of going back to him and telling him, look, you're going to get this opportunity and, you know, coming into this tournament, we were supposed to be playing Afghanistan and instead we're playing Zimbabwe. So, I mean, again, no disrespect to Zimbabwe, but it is a lower ranked team, right? He's not in that kind of group of teams that are consistently at World Cup. So, giving a guy like Nuanindu a chance in that kind of competition is what you want. If you are looking for actually a good replacement, player in that squad, instead of kind of chopping and changing and bringing in the same old guys, like even Bhanuka Rajapaksa, right? Like we've spoken about his potential and what he can do. Not just potential, he's shown us what he can do, right? But there's a reason why he was left out of the squad for, I don't know however long they did, right? There's a reason for that. Have those circumstances changed? Or have you suddenly decided that, oh, we are really stuck, we need a guy like this, and you're bringing him in instead of actually using that as an opportunity to give a continuous run to players, younger players who've kind of showed some promise here and there, right?
Yeah. And I think the other question, Estelle, that I would add to that is, what has Bonica done to show that he even deserves to be in the squad, right? Like, say he played a few big domestic innings and, looked good and something like that. He looked in the best form of his life. Okay, sure, add him in. But what is the basis on which he's drafted into the team?
It's pure desperation.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, that is like, right?
Do you guys think that there's another pure desperation choice coming up at the World Cup?
Oh no,
Guys, should we get Shabby on to have a
yeah.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Mark, you okay? Oh yeah, there we go. We got Shabney
Oh,
on.
Hey guys,
How are you doing?
been a while.
Yeah. So tell me
What?
your thoughts.
Well, we were talking about performances earlier. I'm not sure whether we even performed today. I mean, what were they doing? It's crazy for a team that has so much influence around them. To see the level of cricket that they're playing, it's sad to see. It's clear that I know it's a touchy subject to discuss out here in the open, but it's very clear that whatever that's happening externally is affecting what's happening over there. And we have some guys who I don't know the best way to put it out, but who thinks that they kind of own the team, I would say, and they kind of try to call the shots. I've had discussions with these guys, some of these guys, when I met them socially, and sometimes when you read into the things that they say, the way they say, kind of gives that kind of approach that they're taking, and I don't know. I'm like so disappointed that they're letting. End of the day, whatever that happens externally, right? You are playing this game because of the passion that you have for the game. Just like we are sitting out here talking about it because of the passion we have. You play the game for the passion that you have. I think one thing that we can learn a lot from the Indians is no matter what the management is, no matter what kind of happens in the background, there is so much of a fight for these guys to get into the squad that they perform. They don't try to survive, right? They're hungry for their performances, and I don't see that hunger. I see 6-7 guys maybe who are who think there is no one else who can replace them right now. So it's sad, really, really disappointing.
I think that point about survival versus performance is a really apt one.
Yeah.
Because that's the attitude that we see. Do whatever I can to score my runs, not thinking about what are the implications for other players, what are the implications for the team. If I score 50, no matter how it looks, they can't drop me.
Yeah. And I think a couple of months back when when I was on once, I remember someone bought it. I think someone who joined the podcast was talking about Bhanuka and where is he's missing. Well, here he is, rolling around.
Still missing.
Still missing big time. He looked like one of those kicked rugby balls rolling around the ground, running after the ball. I first thought it was Hasaranga when he was running around the boundary line to catch a ball, and then I was like, nah, Hasaranga has slimmed himself down. He's worked himself up. Who's this? And then I was like, oh, shoot, it's Bhanuka. Waste of a talent. Bhanuka,
I'll be honest, Shabney. I just don't think he's good enough. I think we're gonna
he's not.
we're just gonna
And
keep.
it's the authorities. I honestly think Bhanuka's failure is due to how he was played in each of the squads that he played. Bhanuka, all his life, starting from his school days, was an opener. He is good at hitting the ball over the inner ring. He is a fearless batsman. You try to give a guy like that structure, he's not going to come and be able to sit and defend balls. Bhanuka Rajapaksa what's the Indian opener, the left-hander?
Abhishek.
Abhishek Sharma.
Abhishek. Bhanuka, honestly speaking, he has the same. He's that same caliber. Someone who can hit the ball over the top.
I mean, he was. That I think one of the questions.
But
he was.
Who he is now is purely based on how he has been used in this squad. When we were struggling for an opening partner for Pathum Nissanka as well, back when he came in, or before Pathum came into the scene, we were struggling to find an opener for Kusal Mendes. Bhanuka was never given that option. When we had an opener who's been an opener all his life, he was slotted down the order. He won us one Asia Cup final. Apart from that, probably 2 or 3 innings. And here he comes into bat while the field is all out, where his strength is lobbing the ball over the infield. And if he's good enough, it goes in for a 6. But a guy like that, it's about the touch. You come, you get a couple over the in-ring, you get a feel of it. Once you start hitting the middle of the bat, once the field opens up, then he's not scared of clearing the boundary. Now, you saw that in the Asia Cup final, when at the end he just went berserk after he was middling the ball. But for someone like that, to keep up that same rate, he needs to be able to clear the infield. And the best opportunity is if he opens the batting.
Now, he had a chance to do that today. He was batting in the power play. And I think...
Yeah, but then he comes in 2 wickets down, and now he has got to figure out, am I to save this game or am I to still go for it?
See, the thing...
And he obviously was sent in with some instructions, right?
Yeah, I think this is the thing, right? Is you've got to kind of say, you're in this team to do precisely that, to hit the ball
exactly
over the ring, and that's okay. You know, I don't care if he gets out for 0 from 3 doing that. That's his job. And I think this is something we've talked about, is the chopping and changing also impacts role definition. So guys who come in and play, right, they're playing for their spot in the side. They're not saying, okay, my role at number 4 in this particular position is to do this, right?
Yeah. True, I agree 100%. So, I mean, yeah, unfortunately, we are just going off only about Bhanuka, but it's not just Bhanuka, right? We had 10 other players as well in there. And
yeah, but the question I think with Bhanuka is, do you guys think that he can, I'm saying international cricket, can he open the batting against fast bowlers? Someone's bowling bounces at his head. Can he?
I don't think so. I don't think he can do that anymore. Maybe at one point.
Yeah, not anymore. Not anymore. It's too late.
I think the great kind of unknown is, where is Bhanuka's game compared to where it was like 3 years ago when he was with Punjab Kings? It's really hard to tell because he just hasn't played consistent cricket, right? And I do think that you've got to say he's been misused by Sri Lanka. Like, a player of his talent should have played more than 30 T20s for Sri Lanka. And now it does seem wrong that Sri Lanka are clinging on to him when he hasn't, like, he's not playing. Like, if you look on Cricket Info, the last game that we can see he's played is for like SLC Greys 6 months ago. He's not getting franchise gigs anymore. He might be playing mercantile, but like, what is mercantile cricket compared to international cricket? It makes no sense.
Yeah, it's a hidden giggle on a Sunday. You know, that's all it is, right?
Yeah.
And he didn't perform well in that SLC league either, right? there wasn't any significant performance from him there either.
Yeah.
So I think
No,
it comes
exactly. He
back
didn't do
to
anything.
Dom's point, like what is the point of what is the reason that he was brought in? Like, what is the performance that proved that he should be in this squad? So that is the question mark. Because if you're saying, like, there has to be some value to those tournaments as well, right? Like, you're picking players based on, you perform well here, you're going to get an opportunity. But like we saw with Charmika, right? And then it was a shit show afterwards, and he gets left out again. But that's the point of having a domestic tournament, right? Like, when you like the guys who are on that kind of border, when they perform well, they're given the opportunity. But how is it that some players are getting in with no kind of, and I mean, how old is Barnacle? He's about 35, isn't he? 34?
Yeah.
And exactly, when you have younger players who are talented, right? There's no excuse if you have nobody else.
Shabney, thanks for joining us there. I'll let you go because we've got other people to get through. I'll bring Kulanu on stage as well, and I'll bring one of Sri Lanka's biggest YouTubers as well. Udith has joined us. Thank you for joining us, bro. Kulanu, I'll come to you first, just because you've been waiting the longest. How are you feeling about the game today?
Hello, guys. Good to talk to you. I think I've been listening to the conversation. I will steer away from like looking at different performances or just players. I would say that first of all, we have a problem of our rustiness in terms of getting a first game of a tournament. That has been there for a long time. A perennial problem of like from the losses to Namibia to Afghanistan to South Africa and New York. I think our warm up in terms of like either our bodies or minds, it just doesn't happen as quickly as possible. And the second thing I would say is that the math is not mathing in terms of the logic. If you really look at it rationally, right? Even if you take the emotion out of it, I really am very unhappy about the game. You could go on about like, in a very negative manner, but we played in Rawalpindi, right? This was also Rawalpindi, the game, if I'm correct. We actually lost, but actually played on that venue. We got a feel for the conditions, day-night game. This is an opposition we beat in September. I know we had a bad game in Harare, but we beat them. So if you put those things together, we should be able to take some lessons from both the opposition and the conditions. More or less the same team, we've had some changes. Why can't we put a performance together? I agree with you guys. I also like the combination 6-5. Different changes, but because of the selectors, the strategies, or whoever might be confused because we can't put two performances together. Let's say, I think Estelle, you mentioned that we might go back to 7-4 because we had a terrible loss. Let's say we lost by 2 runs, then maybe we are confident, okay, let's go with 6-5 again. Whatever these kind of like small choices we have, whether it's Nuanidu, Kamil Mishar, or Banuka, whatever it is, we can't, as a professional outfit, put together like 2 decent performances that are like at least like on par. I mean, T20 cricket can go either way, right? One person can hit a 12, a 2-ball, 12, and then or a super over, or a Sikandar Asa can like go off, or Dasun Shanagar takes the catch, and those things can change the game. But if we can just put on 2 performances together that looks like a professional outfit. So right now we can't figure out whether the problem is Banuka or Sanat or the selectors or us or whatever it is, right? Right now I don't have sort of any hopes for the World Cup. I just am looking for with like blind optimism because, as you guys mentioned, Test cricket, one-day cricket, T20 cricket, we don't get much fixtures. Like we are starved for cricket the way that the cricket is going, right? I mean, Ashes and India, Australia, all that dominate. That's a different conversation. But each fixture is so magnified. We're like so under so much pressure to get it right, but we can't just get 2 performances, stringing together. I mean, as Sikandar Asa mentioned, Zimbabwe, we need to take them seriously. They want to go into the final, but all that is good. But I feel like we should be beating them, and we should be building towards the World Cup, which is not too far away. Yeah, that's sort of my idea. But we can talk about specific performance later. But only 2 good things would be Dasun Chanakar's catch and happy for Ishan Malinga, but other than
Yeah.
that, I can't be happy about anything. Yeah.
Just one thing to add to you, Kulunu, the only person who will be optimistic about the World Cup is the host here.
Oh, no, I share some of my sentiments with him because I'm like him. But even though I want to be, even me, I can't now.
It's tough, yeah.
Just because we can't back a strategy and try and see whether it works and play like pros. Yeah, I don't know. Like, it's easy for me to say here, outside all of us, I guess.
Yeah.
They are the players. They've gone through like domestic tournaments. They've gotten there. They are the players. Players like Pathum Nissanka are like world class, right? Wanadu Hasaranga can break a game for us. But still, then you expect, once you build in towards a World Cup, for our performances to get better. So kind of be critical of the team is kind of fair right now, just on the heels of a World Cup, because we are not like at a start of a cycle and we are not sort of experimenting. So at this time, we are not critical. Then at what time? So, but let's see. Maybe it's the case of today. It was too cold and the hand warmers were not that great, and then we were just like, because the guy outside the boundary took 2 perfect catches. He may have had better hand warmers, right? But we don't know. The next game can throw up a good performance. That's in itself the problem, right? If the next game also we get all out at 95, then we know the strategy was wrong, the selection was wrong, our approach was wrong. Next game, we might chase 210 in like 15 overs, Pathum might get 100 or whatever. So then we're confused. I mean, the selectors will be confused, captain is confused, coach is confused, the 11 is confused. So that, I don't know. I'm probably saying the same thing, so I'll stop here. But I feel like we can't get a hold of our strategy and then put a game together.
Kulunu, can I just ask, because you're in DC, right? Have you seen Cristiano Ronaldo? Because he's there at the moment, isn't he?
No.
I'm wondering if you might have bumped into him on the streets, some sporting happiness or anything. Might ask him if he's into Sri Lankan cricket. I don't know. A lot of Portuguese sounding people in Sri Lanka as well, so maybe there's a bit of crossover there. But you haven't seen him, no? No. Okay. Udit, thank you for joining us today. How do you feel about the game?
Were you not on my live?
No, I was trying to get this live going.
It's frustrating, right? I think Kulnu, hit the point right at the head, right? For me, what I've been saying for the last 1.5 years is the fact that mindset is an issue, right? Yeah. You play cricket, no matter how skillful you are, no matter how talented you are, if your mind is not in the right place, you're not going to perform. And it's a chronic issue. We've seen it. I mean, just as Kulnu said as well, every first game we are messing up. And every dead rubber we are playing like we are probably the number 1 team in the world. So the only reason that can happen when the same personnel do that with those extremes is the fact that there's something wrong with their mindsets, right? Are we working on it? I have no clue, right? SLC was harping on the fact that, we have to get psychologists in. There was a rumor of 2 psychologists flying down from Australia, Sri Lankans. That never happened, right? So overall today, I think we've got a lot of things wrong. A lot of things wrong in the fact that whatever happened in the background over the past few days is a mess. You don't do that. And the management, incompetent, to be honest, right? Because what happened to Charita Salanka, there's one statement going out that he's sick, and then you have one of Sri Lanka's most prominent journalists coming out and saying something else. And then you have Lasith Malinga coming and defending Charita Salanka. So these guys are people who know the insides, they get the information, and they've messed it up. They've handled it really wrong. They did the same thing with Dasun Shanaka during the World Cup. The exact same thing. It's the same playbook. And you can't move forward that way. And to bring Bhanuka Rajapaksa, who's a 35-year-old who has not been playing cricket for some time, SLC T20 League was mentioned. That was a simple tournament just to prepare our guys because we don't have matches coming into the World Cup. That was it. It was not a selection criteria of any sort. He did well, not really well, but he had probably the 3rd highest strike rate. Average was not great, but he was there in the top 3, top 4 batsmen, right? But that tournament was solely organized for the squad to get game time, right? That was the only reason why it was organized. And that cannot be a selection criteria to a tournament. My feel on this is Sanath and the selection committee, the management has no faith in the players. Faith is the problem, right? We spoke about Vishen Halambage. Keep Vishen Halambage aside because Major League, that's all he played. He had one awesome season. That's it. And he's someone we should take care of, and we have to look in the future. But there are other players. There are the Pasina Surya Bandaras there. There are the Sonal Dinushas. There's a Vishad Randika there. Nuwandu Fernando is there. I mean, Nuwandu Fernando is one prime example of mindset. Look at how he's playing at in the Rising Asia Cup, and that's not the same Nuwandu you will get in the national side, and that's not the same Nuwandu you will get in a final. I'm telling you. We win the next semi-final. You see in the final, that's not going to be the same Nuwandu Fernando is going to be there because he's shown that even in the Major League T20, when he came into bat, they should have won that game, that SLC T20 League. He came in, he was nerves, right? So same problem. But we do have a bunch of players aged 20 to 25, which we have built over the last 3-4 years, thanks to the NSL, right? They've changed the system. They've reduced the number of, premier teams, the Tier A teams. They've reduced it. That is working. NSL is working, and we've built a squad of good batsmen, good players who have come through that. You have to have faith on those players. So you don't get Pawan Ratnayaka in, who is at 44.4 something average in domestic out of 80 games, right? Comparatively to people like Sadri Samar Vikram, whose list A average is about 30 odd, 36, right? And if you look at all the other players, even DDS has about 32 or something. Right, and Pawan Ratnayake is 44, and this is not only Major League Cricket, it's not only NSL, this is Sri Lanka A games as well. So you need to have faith in your players. You have faith in your players. He's a number 4 batsman, you play him number 4, right? And we're not doing that. We don't. Why we are going on a 7-4? We don't have faith in our players. We don't. Simple as that. And what happens there is when you have 7 batsmen who are not in form, you plant an idea on their heads that, look, there's someone else to protect me as well. If I get out, it's okay. Right? That happens. There's another batsman, we have an extra batsman playing, and you're not in form either, and you get out. Right? And we have those collapses. We need to stick to a plan. We have to stick into a strategy. Strategy is long term, right? 6-5, let's go this way. Let's play the World Cup. Now what we've done is today, we've gone and played 6-5 today. And we're 3 months away from a World Cup. Right? If you're on 7-4, go 7-4 to the World Cup. Do it. It might actually work. In our conditions, it might actually work. So why don't we go do the same thing? So it's about faith. Too many plasters, honestly.
Yeah, well, this is the problem, is that we're trying to it needs surgery, but we're trying to fix it with plasters, right? That's the issue, is that
you have to have patience with the boys, right? You have to have patience with the boys. I mean, social media pressure is always going to be there. People are always going to say, take him off, put him in. But if you look at stats, forget everything else, right? Look at the stats. These are the boys who are supposed to play. But I think our squad is sealed almost 80%. And these boys need to play together for a longer time. And now we've gone and completely messed it up. They've got Bhanuka Rajapaksa in from somewhere. Dasun Chanakya is a leader all of a sudden. You think these boys are behind Dasun? I don't think so. I spoke to Dasun today in the morning, yesterday. He was in high spirits. He was like, I just want to play cricket. That's it. But I really don't think they're backing him. They're not.
It's also like it's a plaster on a different part of the body after every game. And the lack of confidence, which you touch on, which is, I think, is a huge thing that comes from the top down, but it's contagious, right? And you can feel it amongst the players. And I think, honestly, I don't know if this is because we focus in on it, but if I try and look around world cricket for another side that I see as being as mentally fragile as Sri Lanka, I can't find one.
Pakistan were, but they're built.
I was going to say we're playing them on Saturday.
I think this team has more talent than Pakistan's team right now, and it consistently puts up worse performances.
Yes, and it's about sticking to basics, right? I mean, today we had 160 to get easy. That's 8 runs per over. Have your power play. You have 6 overs of power play. Lose a wicket, lose 2, get to 45. We're done. Yeah. Get to 45, 50. We are done. And remember, Bhanuka Rajapaksa is a player who takes time. He takes time. He scores. Kusal Mendis, no matter what you say, he takes a bit of time, he will score. So you need to understand your game first, right? What's his name? Who was that open bowler? I keep forgetting his name. Zimbabwean.
Angaraba.
With his height, he will get a lot of bounce, just short of a length, right? You know that. You've played these guys.
Yeah.
So rotate the strike. Play the loose ball. You don't premeditate with bowlers like Angaraba, right? And we just lose the basic all of a sudden. I don't know what happens.
Yeah, just one thing to touch on. What Udit was talking about reminded me of one of the conversations you guys had with Russell as well, right? Where he said, and I only bring this up because I would assume he has a strong relationship with Sana. He said how when you bring in a new player, there is no grace period. There is no time for player to settle. That a player should be able to come into the team and perform. So I wonder if, that's kind of coming from Sanath Jayasuriya as well. That's why you're seeing, as you said, Bhanuka Rajapaksha coming into the side out of nowhere, right? Basically, he doesn't have really numbers. If you look at the last 12 months, 18 months, he doesn't have the numbers to bring him into the squad. If in the past we could kind of justify it, he was still being picked for franchise cricket, but that's not happening now either, right? So I wonder if that's kind of the thinking, because it's a strange thing, because I think you can do that with teams like India, where our players have a huge amount of experience playing non-international cricket, whether it's franchise or IPL, or whether even at their domestic level, it's a high level and they're playing a lot of it. But with teams like Sri Lanka, they are learning on the job, right? They are learning in international cricket. That's why it takes a lot of players some time to mature in international cricket. Like if you look at even players like Dasun Shanaka, right? Today it seemed like he was playing spin a little bit better than we've seen.
He looked really confident, right?
Right? So it feels like, as they mature and near that 30-year mark, right? And we know historically, batters seem to get to their peak around that mark. So they take some time to learn, but are they being given that opportunity is the question. And Nuanidu is a good point, actually, is the mentality. But what is SLC doing to help players like that? Because if you're mentally fragile, are you leaving that player to kind of deal with it on your own? It's your problem.
Yeah.
You have to come up with solutions. Or are you helping them? Because psychologists, I would say, like, bringing someone from overseas is not going to work with our players, right? That's like, our players. It's not going to work with our players, because there is a lot of relating to players and understanding what their experiences would have been growing up. I think I would go as far to say, even like having a Sri Lankan come from overseas might not be able to relate with some of these players' journeys, right? A lot of them come from difficult backgrounds. All of that plays a part, because you're playing cricket almost from the age of 10, 15, looking at making it a career. And that puts an unreal amount of pressure on you, even as a youngster, right? So, all those things are things that SLC has to deal with. It's the plaster thing, right? You bring someone from a consultant from overseas, it's not going to fix the problem.
The other issue is, as well, with professional sports, men and women, on every single level that they've ever played at, this goes across every sport and every gender and every level of it, they will be the best person who's ever played in that team. So and then suddenly you get to international level and you're like, oh right, everyone else is as good as me, and has when you debut and for your first part of your career, they've all played a lot more cricket than you as well, so they're experienced playing at that level. And even though you might have scored 1 million runs in whichever first class team you were playing at, you're playing with other people who've done that as well. And you've got to adapt to the fact in your mind that you can't turn up half-assed, or not having slept properly the night before, or not looked after yourself properly, and still be able to do enough to be the best player on the pitch. And then you've got to adapt to being able to lose as well. You've got to be prepared to take the risk that make you lose and not get caught in two minds like Barnacle was in that run out today, right?
I don't know if he was caught in two minds.
Well, no, that was just a brain fade.
But I think Estelle,
he's been playing too much of Indo cricket with us.
Yeah,
that's probably
Estelle. I think we the question I had asked Russell that you mentioned was about Nuanindu Fernando, right? And I think if you believe he has it, you've got to stick with him and say, this is your role. This is what we can do. This is how, we can do it. And let's, we'll give you this many chances, and this is how we want you to play. Because if you're telling a guy, right, and I think Udith pointed out, right, he definitely is self-conscious about his performances and how he performs. And if you're just saying perform and I'm going to drop you in 2 matches, that's just going to compound, and it's going to build up, and it's going to cause these young players to struggle. The players who have become good in our squad, like Patham, like Kusal, like Charith, they have become good because they've been given game time over and over and over again. And they've been figured out, but they've gone back, and then they've tried to fix things and adopt and change things. But yeah, so it's
Guys,
a frustrating thing.
Manik is waiting to come on. I'm going to put him on and see what he's going to say. Manik, thank you for joining us today, bro.
Manik's my cousin, Mark.
Oh,
I gotta let you know.
I didn't know. I think you're on mute.
Sorry.
There you go. I've unmuted you. That's all right. Yeah, thanks for joining us. Oh,
Show, by the way. I tune in every single time you guys upload a video, and I also watch. I'm a huge fan of Udit's show as well. I watch both shows quite regularly. Yeah, Dominic, how's it going, man? Good to see you.
Good. So Monik, I want to ask you a question. So Monik is a.
Oh, by the way, I'm a huge cricket fan. I played cricket for school as well, but I'm a professional bodybuilder now.
Yeah. So tell us about your thoughts on fitness of these guys.
Oh my God, guys! Look, I am someone who does 25,000 steps a day. Every day, my average step count daily over the past 12 months is 16,500 steps. I train every single day, and this is whilst I also train 10 other clients of mine. I work so hard on my fitness. I don't eat cheat meals, no cheat meals ever.
don't worry,
My food is weighed, my macronutrients. Yeah, but yeah. And when I see these cricketers behave the way they do, I'm like, dude, how do you even call yourself a professional sportsman? Like, how do you call yourself an athlete? You have no right to call yourself an athlete. And it shows, like, I mean, fitness is such an integral part of a sportsman's career. If you look at any other nation that plays cricket, you look at their cricketers, they're fit, they're healthy, they're on diet plans, and there's a reason for that, There's a reason why people are given nutrition and strength and conditioning. It's fairly evident with the way the game's going in the world. I feel like the fitter you are as a cricketing team, the better you are, and it's fairly evident with Australia, England, South Africa.
And availability, right? Like it seems like injuries play into this as well. Taking care of your body prevents,
And one big thing that I have a huge issue with is Kusal Mendis. I'm sorry. Like, I don't know whether this topic was discussed before, but I feel like the guy has been given too many games. 150 ODI matches, 600s. I saw a comparison it's an unfair comparison to compare him to Baba Azam. But, I mean, if you take Shai Hope, for example, and, he's played fewer games, and, his aggregates better. He scored more runs, scored more hundreds, way more consistent. Also similar role, he's a wicketkeeper batsman. I really don't, I don't understand how people like Matisha get axed. I don't understand how people like Nuanindu Fernando get axed, and how people like Kusal Mendis keep getting games. Can someone please answer me? Like, what's the basis for him to keep getting games?
Hold on, let's do the fitness stuff first. Estelle, Udith, what do you guys think about Sri Lanka's fitness in general?
It's poor.
As in the team, not the island.
It's probably it's island mentality, right? We see when they first brought out the strict fitness routines, there was a rebellion inside the team, right? No one wanted to do that 2-kilometer run. No one wanted to do it, right? There was actually a rebellion. And that's when Dasun's captaincy and that whole issue started, right? That's when it went wrong for Dasun. right, before the World Cup, right? So we're not paying heed to that. But there's some positives also there. If you look at those 20 to 25-year-olds I was talking to you about, these guys have a good routine. I don't know why. It's probably because the newer generation understands that fitness is key. I mean, if you just go and look at our domestic players between 20 to 24 years who are playing the NSL, they're fit. They're quite fit, right? And these guys have a good work ethic. I've seen them. I've been in places where they're residing in the hotel. They come down, they have a swim, they go back up, and they're in their rooms. They're not going out partying late night, right? So there's a new batch that's coming out.
I feel like the switch happens when they reach the professional, level, and they start earning a bit more money, and then they just take it easy. That's like if you look at Vanidu Hasaranga and all these people, when you look at Vanidu Hasaranga back in the day, he looked fit as hell, you know. Uh, but look at him now. Like the reason he's constantly injured is because he's not fit, and it's fairly evident with the way he looks. But if you look at the guys who are really performing for Sri Lanka, you look at Pathum Nissanka, he's by far the fittest looking cricketer we have. And
Yes, he's
if you look
working
at the
very hard.
11, he's the only guy you can actually say looks like an athlete, you know? And that's
I would say
exactly why
Kusal
he's
Mendes is
performing,
the
and he's
same
never
way.
injured.
I think Mendes works hard on his fitness. I think that's one of the reasons why he's in the team. And then to get to this, Sanuda says Mendes averages 40 plus in the last 2 to 3 years. And he's the only one who is averaging 40 plus against the top 6. Now, I'll add one more thing. I think evaluating Mendes on averages is not the best way to view him. I think he's a match-winning cricketer, and we don't have very many of the guys who can play a match-winning innings. And I actually think one of the issues right now is that the coaching is telling him to slow it down and not play his natural aggressive game. And I'd much rather see him, get out for 3 in 2 balls than, plod to 15 off of 20. Because when he plays that way, we win matches. And the stats back that up. When he plays well, Sri Lanka tend to win. And one of the problems I see is that we've neutered a lot of the aggressive impulses of the players that are there, right? Someone like Nuanindu, who actually is kind of an aggressive player, when he comes into the national
Nuanindu, technically, Nuanindu was honestly he's an ODI player, right?
Yeah.
And I think 3 to 4 years ago when he made his debut, we used to experiment with T20. So, a player who does well in domestic, you go drop him in the T20 and see how he does. So that's where they went wrong first with Nuanindu. Nuanindu is not a T20 player. That's a part of the game that is added on to his repertoire, right? So he's an ODI player. What they did was they went and put him in the T20. He scored. He got a 50 odd in one game. And then from there, it was downhill. So he is an ODI player they're using for T20 cricket. Right? So Nuanindu needs to be back in ODI. I have a theory for this. We have natural born cricketers, and then you have the work hard cricketer, right? The cricketer that has been made. Pathum Nissanka is a cricketer who has been made. He was made by his father, right? Literally. Kusal Mendes is a natural born player. And we have a very few of these in our domestic system, right? We have very few. And that's one reason why look at all the ex-players. It's not about him having influence on everybody. Everybody you talk to will be saying Kusal Mendes is the batsman that we've got, right? But for how long? Now when we have a strong system that is being built, we are getting players coming out of that, you need to give him that break. And I think even in the ODI series, we should have given him that break. We should have given him that break, give Pawan Ratnayaka that opportunity. Now it's time to give Kusal Mendes a break. Yes, he's got that 40 average, but we don't want batsmen who can... 40 average comes with some few good innings, right? ODI cricket, we need someone who is getting... Top 4 batsmen, you get to 30, 40, you need to convert it. You need to convert it to 50 plus. You need to, from there on, carry it. You need one batsman to score big. And that's not happening in our top order. Not only in our top order, it's not happening in domestic also. Just go to Cricinfo, check out these 3-4 players, Pasan Surya Bandara, except Pawan, Pasan Surya Bandara, DDS, Sadira, go and check their stats in domestic. Listed cricket, their conversion. They have so many 50s, they have very less hundreds. They're not converting in listed. So we have this problem chronic going down to the domestic system as well. My problem is We've spent a lot on high performance centers. We have spent a lot on coaching. We've spent so much, and there's so much of resources that has been available, and we're not fixing it. Right? Estelle just said something about, what happens to a kid who just drops off. Are we taking care of them? We are not. Right? Lassit Ambuldenia is one good example. Siobhan Daniel is one good example. You drop, you're forgotten about. So this system, there's a chronic issue in the system which has to be fixed. But at the same time, if you're making it to the national level, you need to have a mindset that you're an athlete, you're representing the country, you need to behave like an athlete. And that is, you have to take care of your body.
Yeah, just on the fitness thing, I wonder if there's a thing to say. In the past, Sri Lanka have basically, you have to say, kind of had success based on talent, right? Just gifted players coming through the system, not the best system in the world, but gifted players, right? You feel like Udit was talking about natural born versus made players. Some would argue Sangha is one of those guys who was made, right? Like he trained hard, he kind of put his mind to it, and he built himself into that kind of player. During that era, you had so many like exceptionally talented players, right? Like you think of a Murali, he's not someone who the system is making, right? He's just like a freak. He's a freak. Sanat Jayasuriya is another one, right? I wonder if when it comes to fitness, like this era of the 30 plus players are thinking, or their mindset is that all this time and throughout their careers, whether it's school level or club level, talent has been enough. Talent has been plenty, right? If you look at domestic cricket, the talented guys, they don't really have to work too hard. They are already like 2-3 levels above everybody else around them, right? Whereas for the younger players, they are seeing that this is now a profession. Talent is not going to get you to the level that you're beating the top teams in the world. To do that, it has to be talent plus the hard work, and that's what we're seeing from someone like Pathum Nissanka, right? I know he's added his dad made him work very hard, but if you look at him from 2020 to where he is now, how much work has he put in to change his game? Like he was one of those players who you would have thought, like I would have thought, he's a test player, right? Perfect. The way he bats in test cricket, it's unlike anything you see from a lot of the other players. But he is the guy who's worked on himself and made himself into a player who's been spoken of now as like an elite opener in T20 cricket, right? And that's not to do with you. I mean, you can't take credit as a coach for where he is, because a lot, like 90% of that work he's done on himself. So it's also, I think, a mentality thing where, talent has been enough for a lot of these players. They haven't had to work to the level that, we spoke about. I think we brought up India previously in the podcast, where there's so much competition that you could be. Look at guys like Rinku Singh, right? They don't get opportunities. Like it's incredible, but you can't even call it unfair because they have talent is not the base for them. You have to be performing, and Sri Lanka needs to come to that space for players to also understand that being, the best player in your school team. I think Bhanuka Rajapaksha has suffered a lot from being a guy with promise. The fact that he was told at 19 that he is this, the next big thing, has had a negative impact on him because he feels like he's entitled to a spot, which he is not in international cricket in 2025, right?
The Ashes starts in a few hours' time. One of the few Aussie players on the age of 30 is going to be Cameron Green. And he's been in the side for 7-8 years now. And you've seen him come through as a really inexperienced youngster. I remember when he came through, I was like, why have they got this big gangly kid in the side who can barely bat, barely bowl? And now he's like a kind of multi-format monster, right? Could Sri Lanka ever produce, or could a Sri Lankan player ever have that kind of arc, right? I don't think so. I don't think the system would ever let that happen, that you can come in and learn kind of on the run and actually go, I need to develop this aspect of my game. I need to develop this aspect of my game. Unless you're like Pathum and can put, be at the top, get the opportunities at the top, and have those monster innings every now and again to kind of when you're on the way up, it's never going to happen, right? we're never going to get a seeming all-rounder in Sri Lanka because the system will never let it develop unless, like Angelo, they just appear at age 18 or 19 fully developed. We're like, and when you talk about the mentality around the side, and you talk about how what we think the coaches are kind of setting the players up to say, when you hear what Russell said about Nwindu and all that, I don't think there's any aspiration to even kind of change the system, because I think the idea is Sanath's going, I became one of the greatest players in the world. I became a kind of a player who defined the genre.
Anything.
Why can't you do that? But he forgets. It's like he's forgotten that the first part of his career, kind of up to about 95, was him trying to figure out how to play at that level. And it's like, are you going to back the players who've got the talent to be able to get up there? This idea that they're going to be fully formed when they arrive is absolutely crazy, isn't it?
It's nonsense, right?
Yeah.
Like look at Aravinda de Silva. There were before 96. He debuted in 1984. 11 years of an extraordinarily talented player, arguably the most talented player in Sri Lankan cricket history. He goes to Kent in 95 and then he comes back. But that's 11 years. Same thing, as you said, Mark, with Sanath, 7 years of his career. And even Sangha, when he comes into the squad in 2000, we don't get him as a quality white ball player for 10, 11 years. It takes a long time to take on that quality, even for the very best that we have.
There is a theory for that also. That is the domestic system. There are no fighters in the domestic system who are actually threatening the players who are there. I always say Mahela, Sangha, Dilshan would have never become Mahela, Sangha, Dilshan if we didn't have those domestic players who are knocking on the door always. These guys always knew if I slump, my place is gone. Right? So they always made sure that their game was up because they had a lot of domestic players who were class players, right? Who were behind them. And since then, probably since 2011, when we changed the entire system, we went with some 18 teams in Tier A. I don't know who came up with that bright idea. We all know why that happened. And they just messed the entire system up. And from there on, we had players leaving the country. We had senior domestic players, going for greener pastures in the US, in Australia, in New Zealand, in UK. And we just lost the cream of the crop there. And what's wrong with the current set is we don't have that same hunger in the domestic circuit to push for the spot. Now we're having. These 5-6 players who are really fighting for that spot. And they're the ones who are getting opportunities. Lairu Dara, he's been there for some time. But then Nishan Madhushka, Kamil Mishara, these are guys who've been in the system for some time. They're still 24. Nishan Madhushka, Kamil Mishara is almost the same age. Lairu Dara is a bit more senior. But it's only now that they're actually threatening the position. So now Kusal Mendis starts playing in the last 2 years. Right? Now he's starting performing. Right? He starts to perform. His averages are up. Right? So when you've got competition coming for you, you get to play well. And that's exactly why I always say rest and rotate was never going to happen for Sri Lanka with this domestic talent pool that we have. Now we can. Coming in the next year or two with Dumit Velalage and that batch coming in, I think then we can start doing the rest and rotation for sure. Right? And that needs to be done. So Kusal Mendis also can't have that spot forever on his name if he does not perform.
Interesting.
I just have a question for Udit. Udit, do you see Kusal Mendis in Sri Lanka's starting 11 in the T20 World Cup?
Yes, for sure.
Okay.
As an opener, yes.
You think he'll be rested? You think he should be rested up until that World Cup and then given a go?
I think it's too late for that. I think it's too late to rest a player now. It's just 3 months more to the World Cup. You need to give him all the opportunities that he can get and get settled. He was settled. Pathum Nissanka and Kusal Mendis were a good partnership because as soon as Pathum Nissanka is scoring runs, the pressure is off Kusal, right? And Kusal takes time. He takes that 5-6 deliveries to get in. If you've noticed, for the past, when we've seen our opening stand doing really well, we did consistently well. The first 3 overs, we were about 14, 15, maybe 18, maybe 6 runs per over. And then we picked up.
Yep.
Right? So that partnership is working. It's just that you can have slumps. That's normal. So I wouldn't go and change a player now. Too late for that. Right? But ODI, yes. ODI, we have time. 2027 is the World Cup. We have time to play around with this a little bit, right? But T20, there's Pathum and Kusal Mendis to open. That's it. Number 3, number 4 is a problem, and that's why I suggested during the Asia Cup, the last Asia Cup, get Vishen Halambage in at number 3. Totally experimental because of his mindset and attitude, right? You get him in there at number 3, then you have 4 and 5 who are experienced players, probably KJP and Charita Salanka. And on top, you have Pathum Nissanka and Kusal Mendis. He gets buffered, right? And he can play his game. And if we lose a wicket early with Pathum or Kusal Mendis getting out, you have Vishen Halambage to come in the power play itself, right? So give him that opportunity just to see what we can do. And if it worked, I think we wouldn't have a problem today.
Well, you know,
right?
I agree with you, Udith, about Vishen Halambage at 3, and we've debated kind of this Vishen Halambage question. I think in a dream world, you're 100% correct. That's exactly where he should slot in. Now, the thing that scares me is being put into this rocky team setup where he fails a couple times, and it shouldn't matter at all if he fails a couple of times because he's that talented. Let him do it. Let him keep on. But
that's what I'm saying. The communication is a problem. That's the problem. I mean, we are probably telling our players, don't worry, you're getting chances. You'll get a long run. Don't worry about it. And you fail 2 games and they're like, uh-oh, let's change. And that's a problem. I mean, you speak to all of these guys who are in line to come in and they have no clue what's happening with their career, right? They don't know what they're looking at. I mean, you should be able to, okay, I'm batting at number 3, number 4 in domestic. That is where you're going. And in front of you, you have 2 players who are already in contention. You're here. That's what the communication should be to the domestic players. You're here. There are 2 more to get in. If you do well in the next season, we will consider you. That communication has to be there. That's not there. There's no communication.
But also, they need to be telling them, right, you're here because the 2 players ahead of you are hitting boundaries every 4 balls and you're hitting a boundary every 6 balls. Go and make sure you hit a boundary every 3 balls and you're going to the World Cup. But I don't think that granular level exists, right?
Or we're struggling against spin in the middle overs. We need to find the batter in our system who has scoring options against it. Right. And we'll bring in guys like, you know, just to bring up the example of Kamil Mishara, I think he's a tremendously promising player, but they put him in a position where he has to face a lot of spin and he's not ready to face spin at the international level just yet. Right. If you're going to play a guy like that, I think they did the right thing in one-dayers where they put him up at the top so he can take advantage of the field restrictions, score square of the wicket, get his runs in, and then start to face spin. But coming in at 3, like against a side like Afghanistan, right? Like it's just trouble from the outset.
Kamil's got the mindset, right? I mean, I think he's one of, you all know why Kamil was left out, right? He was supposed to be there way before. So disciplinary issues, and that's why he went out. And if you look at all the players who've got disciplinary issues and who have disappeared from our system, Kitru and Vitanage, one of the most talented players we have had, they just drop off, right? But Kamil Mishara is one guy who has worked hard and consistently performed in domestic, and he's got himself back in. His mindset is there. He needs time. So Kamil Mishara needs to be there at the number 4, number 3 position for sure. But you give him time. Once you give him time, he will figure it out. And you can see that. I mean, whenever he's getting opportunities now, we've got 350 partnerships, right? And we are messing up from there on. That is something they've learned. But it's a positive that we're getting 50 partnerships this way. So Kamil is someone, and even his batting. He was playing a lot away from his body, right, when he first came in. And now he's playing within himself. So there's a lot of change. Kamil is a guy who's got the mindset to do it. Opportunity. You don't give him 2 games and you drop him. You need to give him a long run. Kamil Mishara, Pawan Ratnayaka, these 2 kids, that's all I see right now, have to be given a long run. ODI cricket.
Guys, we're going to wrap this up. I just want to ask all of you guys before we call it a day, when do we then think that Angelo Matthews and Chandimar are going to get their call up to the World Cup? We know it's an inevitability. There's no shade on them. I love them all a lot. I love them dearly. Are they going to be in the England series, or is it just going to be moments before their World Cup squad's announced that they get it? When's it coming? Because it's always
It might be DDS.
Yeah.
It won't be Angie or Chandima. It might be DDS who will magically slot himself into that T20 side.
What we're gonna do is we're gonna save this in our archive, and then 3 months out from the next 2028 World Cup, we'll play exactly the same episode.
Yep.
Exactly after our first loss in the series, 3 months out for the World Cup. Also, one final question I do have is: has anyone heard any news about any sort of cricket that might be played for Sri Lanka in December, during when the LPL might be played, or we're just gonna freewheel it and give them a nice Christmas off, Christmas and New Year off, everyone.
Greys versus blues versus reds.
Yeah.
There is also a rumor. There is also a rumor going out. It's flying around now about Sanat. I don't know how true it is, but some confirmed sources are saying that something might happen with regards to Sanat after this tour. So I say no. I say don't do it. He needs to be accountable for the World Cup. I don't want someone else to come and take this over, and that person be held accountable. I mean, he might do a good job in the World Cup. You never know. So give him that, and he has to be there. But I'm hearing things. Yes, for sure.
The thing is about Sri Lanka cricket. The thing about Sri Lanka cricket is that you just never know what's going to happen, right? I've been saying for like weeks ago. I said, who knows who'll be captain when the World Cup comes around? I don't think any of us would put any sort of decent money on who'd be captain, right? Absolutely anything can happen. Thank you for joining us today, everyone who's joined us. We'll be back after the game on Saturday. Hopefully, it's a bit more optimistic, and we get some sort of magic, and it's a good day to be a Sri Lanka fan on Saturday. I think we've had a good old therapy session and good old chat today, and solved all of Sri Lanka cricket's ills. See you all then. Bye.
It's the Murali End, you're the place to be. Analyze the players and the team. Keep a great company in the stream.
It's a Murali End. Welcome to the show. We're here when you're high. We're here when you're low. Some days you're happy, some days you wanna when happy. It's we when man, it's them. It's the same place, Murali End. Sri Lanka cricket we gon' represent. So tell a friend.